Welcome back to Jungle Gap. Today we're back with another Inside the Mind of a Challenger Jungler, where I'm going to be breaking down a game I played in the new ranked split. In this video, you will essentially learn every core fundamental needed to carry any game as jungle, as well as a closer look into what a Challenger level jungler's decision making and thought process looks like. This review is of a game I played as Jarvan, whom I believe is quite strong on this patch. However, these fundamentals apply to all champions. If you like these kinds of videos, leave a like and let me know in the comments below. Without further ado, let's begin. What's up everyone? My name is Coach Leo and I'm an ex-pro jungler of 6 years, competing at events such as Worlds a total of 4 times, where I played against the best players across the globe. Now in 2024, I've been coaching hundreds of players to reach their dream rank. So if you've had enough of being the same rank every season and want to finally take action, book your first session and join the Jungle Gap Discord today. Okay, so to start things off, I'm going to be referring, or you'll often hear me to refer to each time that I base, or each time a set of plays has been made, as a round. Now, this will not only help me kind of structure the video, but this will also be important for you to kind of view League of Legends, view your clears, view every time that you base as a round, as this will also give a lot of structure to your game. So we're going to be reviewing the first round now, and I have this little notepad here, kind of get a good idea of what we're going to be talking about in the first round. Very important fundamentals to think about in the first round. Some of these fundamentals will obviously be applied throughout the game. And so as I talk and go through and break down this game, you'll often hear me refer back to these fundamentals, and I'll have kind of a notepad for each round in the game to kind of know what you should generally be thinking about at each point. And so the first thing, the first fundamental, the pre-game plan, very, very important. I often go through these in my videos. In this video, I'm going to just be going through pretty much the main thing that you should think about every single game, which is where can I get a kill, or where are the potential kills? And what timers am I going to get those kills? So for example, some games you're going to have a Malphite, and you're not going to really want to interact with his lane until he's level 6. So you can see that lane as at level 6. That's potentially where I can get a kill. And Malphite is a very obvious kind of example because it's super easy, it's super guaranteed to get a kill. For example, you know, if you're versing an Alawi or a Mordekaiser, this is kind of some champions that you tend to want to, the timer is actually before they hit level 6, because you know, at level 6, they can just 1v2, Mordekaiser can just ult, you know, Alawi can 1v2, 1v3. So there's different timers of when you want to think about you're gonna get potential kills in lane. You know, more of this, you know, for example, you're versing an Ahri, you want to try and gank her pre-6. If you're versing a Syndra, maybe you're looking to burn her flash because it's a free kill at level 6. So there are a lot of different timers that ganks work, and that's really important to think about in your pre-game plan, because essentially all you want to do is you want to think about what's the easiest place for you to get a kill. And you know, I'm not going to talk too much about win cons for this video, although it's very obvious here that I have quite an outscaling kind of comp, right? I have like a Vladimir, I have Kog'Maw, Lulu, so we're like super scaling. We're on the super scaling point. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but this is also in the pre-game plan where you want to think, okay, you know, we are outscaling really heavily. Maybe, you know, I'm going to maybe look to trade more. I'm not going to look to match and fight everything. I'm going to kind of play to minimize, and, you know, we're going to have a better chance of winning later on. It's not so much when you have a scaling team that you can't do anything, or that you're playing scared. It's not really about playing scared. It's more so that the chance of there being opportunities is a lot less. So you kind of are just going to be, you know, farming more, not because you're actively making a decision to farm, but because there's just no opportunities when you have lanes like a Kog'Maw and a Lulu, right? So I'm going to quickly explain what my decision was in this game and how I wanted to treat my first path. So I'm playing Jarvan, which I have ult at level 6. And so the thing you want to think about is where can I get a kill? Is there's usually 3 kind of you can categorize it in 3 ways: volatility, your gank setup, and the enemy's mobility. And this is kind of how I always do it simply. So if I go through that in each of these lanes here, top lane, volatility. Well, it's a Vladimir versus an Aatrox. You know, both have pretty good sustain. Volatility wise, I don't think it's going to be crazy. It could be just because of how Aatrox interacts around level 3, but I'm not expecting this to be too volatile of a lane. I'm expecting them to just kind of farm, Aatrox kind of farm. They're both going to sustain. They're both going to heal. He's probably going to go D-shield. So I'm not really expecting much volatility. Now, gank setup, Vladimir, right? 0 gank setup. So that's another cross. Obviously, Jarvan, myself, I have gank setup. And Aatrox mobility, you know, he also has his E. You know, he can kind of cancel my EQ as well. So this lane is really not a great choice in terms of how likely it is for me to get a kill. If we go through it for mid lane, Gwen versus Lux, volatility. Now this one could be volatile because you have to now take into consideration kind of summoner spells. So when someone takes Ignite, this is a good indication that a lane is going to be more volatile. And so, you know, Lux is also, these two lanes also, they poke a lot. So when we're talking about volatility, it can either be an all-in. So Blitzcrank is very volatile, not because, you know, he's obviously not a poke champion, but if he lands one hook, people can die. So that's volatility. You can also see volatility as two mages hitting each other. For example, like a Lux and a Xerath, or in this case, a Quinn and a Lux. You could see two people hitting each other with not a lot of sustain as like a volatile lane. So I would say mid is volatile. The gank setup on mid, we do have, you know, Lux slow, Lux bind, then following into my EQ. So gank setup is also pretty good. Not the most reliable abilities. It's not like an Annie stun. It's pretty good, right? So I'm going to give the gank setup kind of like a dash. You know, it's leaning more towards, yeah, there's some good gank setup. And enemies mobility. Quinn, not much mobility. She can cancel my EQ, I do believe, with her E. You know, she kind of has some evasiveness, kind of has some escape. It's not great there. So we're kind of relying mostly on the volatility in this lane. And now as we move towards the bot lane, 2 sustained supports. So volatility is not going to be a lot. Although sometimes in these lanes where you have 2 hyper carries, they kind of get some egos. They kind of try and ego battle each other. So this will happen even in enchanter lanes, but you shouldn't really expect it to happen. So volatility, not really. Gank setup, not at all. You know, we have a Lulu. She has a slow, of course. Not great, right? This is a very farming lane. Enemies mobility is a big tick though. They have no mobility, right? So if I'm analyzing this game now and I'm thinking, okay, well, top's not great, mid's okay, and I'm thinking about bot lane as they have no mobility, right? So this is a big tick here. So if I can burn their flashes, when I come back with ult, it's pretty guaranteed, right? So this is also kind of more of a Jarvan thing, but there's other champions like this, you know, Nocturne, things like that, where if you ult on someone and they don't have any flash or any escape, it's kind of a guaranteed kill. This is also what you can think about. Okay, so as we play the game, I'm not only going to go over the fundamentals, but I'm also just going to kind of get you in my mindset, what I'm thinking about in regard to also these things. The first thing actually in the fundamentals after that as well is actually the trinket placement. This is, you know, in this game, I was kind of AFK level 1, not gonna lie. I think I was like, you know, whatever it is you do, right? So it's also important that you lock in and not do what I did this game, which was kind of AFK here. It's really important that you try and get some kind of ward to track the enemy jungle. And it's also important that you try and get your team to ward as well. If you know where the enemy jungle starts, it's very easy to track him and mirror the camps to your camps. So this is actually something I actually haven't got written here, but I will add it. Jungle tracking and mirroring camps. So this is also another one. If you can track the enemy jungle, you can mirror his camps to yours. So if you know that you've done kind of 1, 2, and he's done 1, 2, then your number 2 spawns at his number 2. And this is a really, really important fundamental. If the enemy jungle ever wastes time anywhere, that you're able to kind of punish him because you know his camp spawn timer. So this is also very important. It doesn't really come up this game, I don't think, but it's still something very important to think about. And so yeah, that trinket placement is very important. The placements that you mostly want to do, if you're on the red side, you want to try and get a ward here. So similar to where this guy's ward is. You can also just get a ward on his blue. And when you're going for these wards, you either want to ping your team to help you, or you see that the enemy champions are pretty low threat, so you can kind of do it yourself. Either way, you want to just try and get a ward, whether you get your team to do it or you do it, right? So you want to know where the enemy jungle is starting. Yeah, in the first round, I think the main fundamentals that you're going to be looking at is clearing fast, because this is going to be important for your tempo. So knowing how to clear, knowing your champion, knowing the champion mastery, how to clear sufficiently, right, and efficiently is going to be very, very important, because tempo, you know, if the difference between if you clear your camps, which I'll explain later as well, which is going to be, we're going to talk about spare tempo, but the difference between clearing, you know, 10 seconds slower is a really big deal in terms of the game, because that can really add up over time. And tempo is going to be something that applies to the you know, during the entire game. So it's really important that you learn, go into a practice tool, learn how to clear really quickly, learn how the fastest clear on your champion. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube that gives that away. Okay, so Echo now shows here, right? So jungle tracking wise, we know exactly what he's done. We're basically exactly mirrored. So I've done 1, he's done 1. I've done 2, he's done 2. He's doing 3, I'm doing 3. So in terms of jungle tracking and mirroring camps, we know exactly his spawn timers of his red side camps. They're exactly the same as mine. I know that my Krugs is going to spawn around 4:15. And I know that my Raptors are going to spawn right after my Krugs. So yeah, so this is just, you know, especially when you're versing a heavily ganking jungler, you know, the Weaksides, the Zacs, this is how you can really punish them if they ever make a tempo mess up. So if he's ever not here on these timers, you know, if he overstays top lane ganking top, I'll know exactly, oh, I can go take his camps. The other thing here fundamentally is that you want to be map awareness, camera panning, consistent lane state, game state updates, gathering information and planning ahead. You'll also see me do this in the first clear, you know, while you're walking. So while you're walking, you don't have to necessarily do it, you know, like the best junglers in the world, they'll literally update themselves every single auto attack on what's happening in a lane. Around this time, when you're going from like the Krugs to the Raptors, you want to be sure that you're not you know, you want to have your camera here one last time to see, okay, is this like a very likely chance that I can get a kill? So when you're actually walking to your Raptors, this is time where you really should be looking at lanes with your camera. So literally moving your camera to a lane. Sometimes you'll see icons start clashing, you know, so if these icons were clashing here and Vladimir's health just dropped to here, this tells me is like a prompt. It's like a prompt to say, hey, look with your camera here, take a look here, because there's something going on here. There's some information that we need to gather in order to give ourselves enough time to make a decision here. Hey, am I going Raptors to top because this gank is really likely, it's like 80%, or am I just going to keep clearing down because this gank is actually not likely? Maybe Vladimir just lost all his life and Aatrox is still full HP, right? And it's not a lane that we were really looking at anyway in the early game. So let's see my camera panning here in terms of, you know, when I go from Krugs to Raptors. You know, maybe my camera panning wasn't that great. I look bot, so I'm really not looking top. And again, it's because that prompt I don't think was really there. You know, I'm not looking to gank top because it's going to be a big waste of time. Unless I get that prompt, of course. So I'm looking at Echo here. We're both kind of playing around the bot side here because, you know, it's really important here that I actually move my camera to see where he's going off this vision. Okay, obviously the map will show it, but it's important that I know if he's going this way. It's important that I know if he's going this way, and it's important if I know if he's going this way, right? Because this gives me time to make a plan. Okay, if I know he's going this way, then maybe I'm going to be a bit scared on my camps because obviously, you know, I'm playing Jarvan, so he's a very strong early game jungler, but still, whichever jungler kind of gets the jump on the other person will generally win the 1v1. So here I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be a bit careful around here. And I'm also going to danger ping my bot lane. I'm also going to communicate to my bot lane. So that's another fundamental I actually haven't got written here, which is really important, which we're going to I guess we're just going to start adding things. Mirroring camps. Then after this is communication with your team. Pings. So, you know, when you see someone doing this play, I'm telling you, your solo queue teammates, they've got really, really bad map awareness. Okay. This is kind of your job to communicate what he's doing here. The best you can obviously do, you know, you're not going to try and save your team by messing up your game or anything like that. The best that you can do is just communicate it. If they still die, it is what it is. But, you know, how I like to see it is, you know, out of 10 games, if you communicate all 10 games, you're going to save your team like 5 out of 10 times. So it's really, really an important thing about consistency. So I'm danger pinging here. I'm giving all the options to my team. What is this Echo doing? And for my own game, you know, I didn't buy a health pot this game. So, you know, I'm still a little bit wary about fighting him. And in this case, you know, it looks like with this camera pan. So again, I'm camera panning. I'm gaining the information of what's happening. I know that Echo is looking to gank bot somehow, either from the river, from where he was walking, or the tri-bush. As you can see, he's right here. So I'm going to posture up because if the enemy team overextends it into me, this is going to be really free for me to counter. So I'm getting this camera pan because I want to know my options. You know, if I do this pan and the enemy team is like sitting back and they're not going for the gank, then I'm not really going to, let's say for as well that Echo doesn't show. So let's say Echo didn't show here, enemy bot lane doesn't play aggressively. Of course, I'm not going to run here to counter gank something that, you know, it doesn't really look like it exists. I'm just going to choose option A, which is do my blue, or option B, which is gank bot or counter gank bot. And this is all to do with this fundamental right here. Map awareness, camera panning, consistent lane state, game state updates, gathering information and planning ahead. And this is a really, really huge thing, honestly, that separates, you know, good junglers and the best junglers. This right here is basically the skill that you need to practice. As soon as I see that it's over, you see my decision changes very, very quickly. Echo's no longer going for the gank, so I simply just go back to my camps. You know, I lose a little bit of tempo here, but the posture is of course worth the potential of a counter gank there. So, you know, I also coach a lot of players that they say, oh, you know, I pinged off Echo. My team should know that they're not going to go for the gank, right? Or you expect like players to play correctly, but it's still the environment of solo queue is still very much so you have to expect people to fight. You have to expect that if they show, like if Echo is running into this side, you need to expect he's going to gank bot. So you need to be prepared to make the most of it. You know, solo queue is about making the most of the cards that you've been dealt. You know, if my bot lane just instantly died there and you know, I was posturing up and I couldn't make it, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I'm not like, you know, I can't be the savior and teleport bot and just like kill them all and predict everything. But I can have a pretty good idea. Okay, so again, once I finish these camps, you know, I have a lot of options here, and this is where we start to talk about why clearing quickly is important and why clearing quickly gives you a lot of spare time. So if I cleared like 330, 345 here, for example, I was very, very slow on my clear. I would have a lot less tempo to kind of, you know, throw around here, right? Right here is what I like to call, I have spare tempo. So until this camp spawns at 4:15, right? This camp spawns at 4:15, and this is a good also representation of the end of my round. So when I start recalling here to go to my 4:15 Krugs, that can kind of indicate the start of a new round. And that's what being at my Krugs at 4:15 is essentially what having good tempo is. So right now I kind of have I have 30 seconds or 40 seconds to kind of mess around on the bot side. So how am I going to use that tempo is determined on my camera panning here. I'm trying to see what the highest percentage, where my spare tempo should go. So some games, right? Some games you'll have spare tempo here, and all you'll do is take scuttle and maybe drop two deep wards or drop a deep ward. Some games you'll have spare tempo here and you'll just gank bot and you'll just blow Twitch's flash, which is okay to burn. It's okay to burn Twitch's flash here in my spare tempo, but I don't think it would have been worth it to, for example, do my 3 camps here, gank bot and burn his flash, because it's not my spare tempo. Usually you should only burn, when it's not your spare tempo, usually you should only gank if it's a guaranteed kill. That's kind of like the recommendation that I have. You should always choose to finish your camps first and have this spare time. So right then when I was camera panning, when I'm still camera panning here, right, I'm deciding on what I want to do. Before the scuttle, after the scuttle, I'm planning ahead. You know, camera panning again. So right now I'm thinking that mid looks better for me to use my spare tempo than bot. I'm thinking that mid looks a lot better because bot lane, you know, there's no dive. There's not really a gank. They're pushed up. They're full HP. So mid just looks like the higher percentage thing here. It looks like the thing that I'm going to get more value out of. Currently, I know that Echo is somewhere on the top side. I know that his camps, his Krugs again, are mirrored to mine. So his first camp is same as me. His second camp is same as me. So this is why I also know that, you know, there's nothing to really counter jungle here. And so, you know, the mid gank is the obvious choice here. Weakside is good. It's the lane I have kind of gank set up. And this is also why that pre-game plan and thinking about which lanes you're going to gank is really important, because it kind of gives you a good idea of which lanes to be in proximity to. This is the reason why we cleared down, right? Obviously this is mid lane, so you can clear either way. But it's about being in proximity to these lanes that you think are going to be volatile. Like if top lane was the volatile lane this game and I just cleared down, I would obviously be out of proximity for this spare tempo time. And now finally, the last fundamental we get to, which is mechanics and execution. So it's all well and good, right? We do all this macro, we do all this theory. It's all well and good. But essentially this is just putting us into the position. Then we need to actually execute. And this is also where we talk about champion mastery again, knowing how much damage you do, knowing what combos you should do, knowing when to hold your abilities, knowing when to throw your abilities. These are where all of these factors come into play. And this is usually the hardest thing for players to kind of, you know, master. Obviously no one has mastered this, but this is also why everyone goes on about champ mastery is so important. It's probably top 2 in terms of fundamentals, knowing what to do with your champion and how to play it. And so as we watch this gank play out, my Lux misses all of her abilities. I EQ a little bit too far. So this is where my execution was kind of bad. I should have EQ'd shorter. When he uses his flip, that's also an indication for me that I can throw my EQ because he has nowhere to stop it now. And I think I remember this. It was kind of like, I kind of get a little bit lucky here and, you know, she messes up her flash. But overall, this wasn't really a great execution. So my fundamentals so far were you know, solid. My theory, my macro was all good, but I kind of fell short on the execution side. Quinn is another champion that she can't really get out of my ult, so taking her flash is still very, very valuable for me, and something that, you know, even I can review off this game. I should have just taken her flash. Sorry, no, she didn't actually flash yet, so she still has flash. Here I'm just basically hoping that she's bad. Never mind. And the 1-for-1 here, honestly, you know, I'm not really that pleased with giving it away to Echo. I'm not that pleased, but in terms of tempo, it's still okay for me. You know, I got, you know, first blood, so I get more gold. I also get to my Krugs sooner. So this death is kind of, you know, I'm giving it to Echo, but it's still pretty good for my game. If you actually look at the game right now, right, I'm 10 CS up on Echo. I have a quicker base, so I'm going to be on map quicker. So I'm going to have tempo on Echo. And I also got the first blood gold, which just gives me a better kind of item buy. And as we move on to the second round, these are the fundamentals that we're going to be looking at. And, you know, generally speaking, you know, you want to have a structured game, which is where I'm going to be quickly talking about the weak side versus strong side camp. So generally here, you know, and as well as, you know, thinking about my win cons, I don't really care about grubs this game. So in a standard game where no information is being presented to me, where everything is kind of going the way we expect, right? This is what kind of would be the game plan. I would be doing my weak side camps always first. So we're always pathing to the weak side, right? We're always doing our first camp that spawns first. We're going to do this camp, then we're going to do raptors. And then as we're walking to the strong side camps, we can choose here. Okay, well, we know Echo started the same as us, right? Because we have good tracking. So we kind of know Echo's pathing towards the top side like this. And we know that we have to path down. So we're kind of going to the opposite sides. And this is where you can start thinking, okay, well, if Echo's already cleared up like this, I can clear down and take the bot dive or take the dragon. So you can kind of skip these camps. Now, sometimes you won't skip them. Sometimes you will, depending on the information again. But this is kind of how you have a structured game. And then the next round, third round, you do the same thing. You clear down, you'll gank bot, you'll blow their flashes, or maybe you blew their flashes the round before, so now you're ulting on them. And this is how you have a very, very standard kind of game. Now, that's all well and good. And I've coached a lot of players as well like this, where they kind of stick too much to the standard game, and they are missing important information that allows for deviation and adapting to new information. Right? So generally speaking, when you're running out of base here, you always want to be camera panning to the lane, even if it is your Vladimir versus Aatrox. You want your camera to be here because you're thinking, okay, am I going to gank top on my weak side timer, is what I like to call it, or am I just going to clear down like standard? And as your camera is kind of panning to the top side, when we see this information, we see that it's getting volatile, right? They're all inning. Now, the thing that I got from this is Aatrox hasn't based yet. Vladimir is still going to sustain and heal a bit. Echo is going to be pathing top, but I still want to try and pressure the dive here because it's very, very easy with Vladimir. It's very, very easy to dive this Aatrox. This wave is really, really big. So, you know, the play that I'm seeing here is I'm either going to walk up and gank this Aatrox because he's going to contest the wave, or he's not going to contest the wave. He's going to sit under his tower, and in that case, I'm going to dive him. So, you know, I'm deviating from my plan, but it's not random. It's because I see information that I think is high enough percentage for me to get something bigger on the map than just doing my standard play. And this is obviously also to do with the champions that you play. So for example, this is why champions like Elise, champions like Nidalee, champions, you know, even like Jarvan, they tend to be able to deviate more than a champion like Shyvana, for example. So a champion like Shyvana, you know, this is why she's much more OP or was much more OP in low elo. You know, the full clearing champions like Amumu. You know, Amumu, you would never really be looking for a dive on Aatrox here. Same with Shyvana. You would probably just be looking to full clear down again and get your ult, right? And so this is why generally you kind of suggest, if you are, you know, below diamond, these decisions are quite hard for you to make because again, you're taking in a lot of information. But yeah, this is kind of the reason why the win rates as well of champions it varies a lot. And this is kind of one of the big reasons why, as well as just the champion being mechanically harder. And so yeah, if we see this round, you know, it's getting even better. I bump into Echo here, right? You can also see this play as if Vladimir is pushing, we're either going to dive Aatrox or I'm going to make some play around his Gromp. Obviously, I need to take mid lane into consideration here because mid lane has a big move, which honestly, I don't really think I took into that much consideration, which was another bit of information that I needed to consider here because technically I think Quinn could easily cover this dive as well. So Echo and Quinn could cover this dive. And you know, in a different game, I make the wrong decision based off this little bit of information that I miss. But now this just comes down to, as I quickly go back, you know, I'm not throwing my EQ yet. Again, some of the same fundamentals you'll see here, mechanics and execution. This is always going to apply throughout the game. So not throwing my EQ here, waiting for him to hop over the wall. I'm very, very strong right now. I didn't mention at all, but you know, in terms of when you want to, the items that you want to buy, you always want to try and buy just straight damage. And this is exactly for that reason. You want to just build straight damage. Not only does it make you clear faster, which is good for your tempo, but it also just makes your ganks better, dives better. You don't need HP, right? You want to build damage. You want to build CDR. You want to clear faster, kill faster, and tempo. And so, you know, we find a good play here. Quinn doesn't get here yet. You know, there's also a concept called a fast play, which is where you're making a play. You know, it's gonna take, you know, you can do it before the Quinn kind of gets there, so you go for it anyway. You know, that's also a concept that you can think about. A little bit harder, obviously, to kind of know how much time you have. But this ends up being, you know, the result of this ends up being absolutely massive for the game. You know, we kill both of them. They're missing golden XP. You know, this is just like a massive play and snowball for this game. And so now, you know, I go back to my plan. Obviously, I'm just going to full clear down now. You know, same plan again. Nothing for me. You know, I could think about maybe taking his Gromp here, but I don't really just want to be stopped. You know, there's pretty low respawn timers in the game. I also wasn't even sure if he cleared it or not. So it's better just to go back to my jungle and clear down. And so as we clear down, right, we're thinking about the next thing again, which is going to be Grubs are spawning. Dragon is on the table. I'm pinging where I think Echo is. So because he was topside on that timer, I kind of just know that he overstayed from the round before, and now he's going to be clearing these camps, right? So I know he's here now. So again, it kind of is mirrored our pathing again. And, you know, I'm communicating to my team right here. I think I should start to have a look. You know, I'm thinking there's not really much to pan here. I'm thinking that it's their Grubs here. I think that's basically what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking, okay, Aatrox is going to slow push this wave this way. Quinn has priority mid, Echo is clearing up. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, even though we just won a major fight there, I'm thinking that this is kind of their Grubs. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, you know, it looks like they have pushed mid, it looks like they have pushed top. So I'm simply just going to give it up. And I'm making the decision now that, you know, kind of when they go for Grubs, I'm going to go for Dragon. But I'm still going to be efficient. I'm still going to just clear because I don't need to do it instantly. I don't know for sure yet if Grubs is theirs. You know, if you ever have a timer in that exact time when I'm taking Raptors and you have a Trinket or a Pink Ward here, it's a really, really good Pink Ward to place here. And so Echo shows mid now. So the information is about to change, right? The information's about to change. Quinn gank spot. Lux TP spot. So, you know, in this situation, there was kind of two decisions that I could make here. I could either join the fight bot, which I just assumed that I was going to be too late for, to be honest. You know, I definitely could see myself joining this fight bot. I think, yeah, it kind of, to me, in the decision that I made in the moment, you know, this is where I had to make a decision without any kind of time to prepare. I just made the decision that, you know, I'm actually going to kind of play away from this kind of play here. And I know that Echo, you know, I know that Echo wants these Grubs. I know that off of mid, he's also not going bot. So we both kind of have the same idea. And I want to match that, right? When I see Echo on this mid wave here, you know, maybe it was me thinking too much a little bit about the jungle or whatever, you know, an ego battle or something. But I kind of know Echo wants to go here. And so this is kind of the next fundamental, which is match or trade. When you're stronger, you kind of always want to match. So I don't really want to just give this Echo these Grubs for free because I'm stronger. And I know now that as well that Vladimir now has ult. It's now just a straight 2v2. So you always want to match when you are stronger. Even though we're scaling in this game, me and Vladimir, we win the 2v2 because I'm super strong compared to Echo. And, you know, I think Vladimir after that top dive should kind of be winning top. So I make the decision here to match. Top is actually losing. So what I predicted before that Aatrox was going to kind of push him in did actually happen. I also think I made the right decision about bot lane because as soon as Lux TPs, you can kind of think, okay, the enemy is going to run away now, right? As soon as they see Lux, they're going to run because, yeah, they're just going to see the Lux and be like, okay, we need to get out of here, right? So sometimes that, like going bot here will work, but it's definitely lower percentage than what I'm doing now. And now, you know, we can learn some fundamentals from this Echo. You know, he's pulling the Grubs out, so he's actually able to see me in this vision. If he was, for example, taking it, you know, inside the pit, I would kind of jump scare him here. So very important that you pull Grubs out. Little detail here. And that's why he's able to see me here. And, you know, some little jungle mind games come out here where we're both trying to smite. I think I was actually trying to QE there, but I accidentally EQ'd. Now I know that he has smite, so I'm trying to not hit them. I know that I win this 1v1 at least, so I'm kind of wanting to see how it plays out. I shouldn't have hit that grub. It gives him the smite. And so it was a little bit awkward here. Now I know that, you know, the Aatrox is coming, so I kind of predicted wrong about top as well. Aatrox still kind of won even after that first dive, and yeah, I have to give it up here. So, you know, I was always in a position to be okay to get out. But yeah, the result wasn't great. But the fundamentals, the reasoning behind it is still, I think, quite sound. And again, I'm camera panning top. So one thing that we know now, based off that first fight top, is that top has no flash now, right? Aatrox has no flash. Very, very good position. So he has no flash. He still has his E. Wave is in a very good position for me. I also want to try and base soon as well, because I don't really have anything else to do here. So I'm either going to gank top or base is my thought process. I have 1500 gold here. I definitely want to, you know, you always want to try and base for big item power specs. But I see this little opportunity here. I know that he has no flash. I don't show yet because I want him to have a false sense of security. I want him to ward this bush, go back to his wave, and think everything is okay. Take note of the pathing that I take. You know, I'm walking around like this. I'm not walking straight at him. I'm walking to cut him off. He has no flash. So as soon as I throw the EQ and he presses E, boom, free kill. Now, very, very important here. You know, I don't stick around here. Tempo, 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 tempo. I don't stick around to help Vladimir push his wave. I don't go back to my Krogs. I don't go into river. I don't try and do anything else here because I just know that all I want to do here is base and get back on the map with my 1800 gold spent. You know, I want to get back on the map, and now I'm in a position where wherever I go is going to be winning because I'm just too strong. And when you're in this kind of position and how you translate this lead, essentially what you're wanting to do when you want to translate a lead like this is you want to, first of all, you want to try and match everything. You want to just fight everything, right? If they're on dragon, you're fighting dragon. If they're on grubs, you fight grubs. As long as obviously it's in the realm of, you know, 3v3. You know, you don't want to try and 1v5, of course, but you also just want to be in proximity of where the action is happening. So right now, a lot of action is actually happening in the bot lane. So I want to make sure that I'm always in proximity of the bot lane, and I'm always matching things that they do on the bot side. So I'm going to use my lead to translate, to be in proximity, and make the difference in the fights. And this is essentially how you carry games. And so round 3, as you can see here, you know, quick buys, buy as much damage as you can. This is a round where I essentially do exactly that. So there's no new fundamentals here. There's no new fundamentals. This round is essentially what I just said. I'm playing towards, so you see me have some kind of, you know, I'm wanting to go straight to the strong side, but then I realize, okay, I still want to kind of clear down. I want to clear one of my weak side camps. I don't want to completely, so here I don't want to, you know, I don't want to completely clear from top to bot, even though I think I could have if I didn't have that, little bit of hesitation here of where I wanted to clear. So right now I wanted to go straight to the strong side, but I kind of realize it's not really that time yet. I still need to have a little bit of time where I kind of sync up with my lanes. I think it would have been still okay. But if I do this, I'm kind of going to be stuck here. So I think, yeah, I'm going to just do Raptors. I don't want to be too slow to bot, but I don't also want to be too quick. I'm kind of trying to find the right balance to get to bot lane at the right time. And so here, clearing to bot, same kind of fundamentals. Clear my weak side camp and go to the strong side so I can be in proximity of exactly something like this. So as soon as I see Echo, I'm instantly camera panning. I'm instantly seeing, can I get involved? Can I make the difference? Can I do something, right? In this case, he gets caught too early. But I see here something that, you know, they might overchase here, right? They might overchase. So very important here, right? I'm not rushing this. I'm not just instantly EQing because there's no play yet. If I just EQ over this wall, right, it's not going to lead to anything. So it's very important that you have some patience here when you are fed, when you want to translate your lead. Okay, you don't want to care about this Lulu's life. Okay, her life is useless to you. All you want to do is kill both of these when they overextend to try and kill her. So you want to bait her. You want to bait her really hard. Okay, I see. Look, I'm still not throwing my EQ, and Echo is a little bit suspicious here, right? Right, Lulu's doing a pretty good job of being a juicy bait as I skip backwards, but you want to be super patient. And if you are patient, people will make mistakes. You don't need to overcompensate for Kog'Maw dying. You don't need to, you know, do more than what's needed of you. You just need to, yeah, keep your agency, keep composed. The game is yours. You just need to, you know, stick to your game plan and it'll be fine. So here, you know, immediately we're taking that dragon. I didn't talk too much about the win cons, but, you know, dragon is a big part of this game. because we outscale very, very hard. So having a dragon is very handy because it means that the enemy won't get soul for a very, very long time. It gives us plenty of time to scale. And yeah, I believe this was... Okay, yeah, so what happens next is that I'm staying... This is what's so important about this weak side, strong side thing. You clear your weak side camps. Let's say I cleared both. And while they're spawning, I'm just getting so much time to spend on the strong side. Because I went like this and I did wolves and I skipped these camps, now I can just take these camps and I'm still in this proximity to bot lane. And why that's so important is because of what happens now, right? The enemy bot lane gets, they're tilted, whatever. Twitch just loses his mind and they play aggressive again. And of course, I'm just in the right place at the right time. Completely fail my combo. Kog'Maw gets a kill, which is kind of nice from me failing. Yeah, we get a double kill. So this is kind of how this round looked. And this is all about translating your lead, being in proximity, having that game plan of what you want to play towards, and having that idea of which lane do you think is going to be fighting. And it's also kind of about, now it's going to be about playing through my strength and always giving my game kind of a sense of direction. So, it's still early game. So we're still kind of in the early game, but we're getting towards the mid game. And we're going to be talking about how to, close games out, how to play the mid game. In this next round, round 4, we're basically going to be seeing kind of the same thing. I'm still trying to path. I'm still taking this whole proximity thing. I'm still really, really wanting to play in the proximity of bots. So, I'm still, as I path here, I want to do the Raptors down again because I want to be more synced up with my bot lane. I want to try and sync up the same tempo as them. We have a ward on Grubs. As we see, Echo counter jungles my Raptors. And I do a little sneaky thing here, playing off of Vision Fog. I clear the ward. This is something you can do when you clear some vision. The enemy will have what's called lingering vision. Well, they'll kind of see where you go. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just acting like I'm running towards the Grubs, but I'm actually going to EQ backwards here. Again, I don't really want to contest the Grubs. They're not really important to me. I want to be on the bot side. So this is why I'm making this decision. I say I want to match when I'm stronger, but right now I think that the Quinn can kind of make the difference in this fight, and I was also just behind in tempo on the Grubs. One thing I definitely should have done here is I actually should have checked with my camera if he was on it or not. So having a ward on an objective is not enough. You need to actually move your camera here to actually see if they're on it, because obviously he might be on it here, but his icon's not showing up because he's just in this little fog pocket. But as the same as the last round. So okay, so I move my camera here eventually. Finally, as we see, he's on it, right? So, I don't want to waste my time here running to this, seeing this pink ward, running here. He takes 1 or 2 grubs, he gets off, and then I get 1 grub. I don't like this situation because I don't care about it. I care about being here. I want to be here. If he wants to be here, that's great. I'm just going to go take his camps. You want to split the map on top side? That's perfect for me because I know that this game is won and lost by this bot lane, whoever's in proximity to bot lane. So you can take your grubs. That's what I'm basically saying to Echo. Constantly panning at bot, constantly thinking, when can I go bot? So this is really good for me now because, bot lane is kind of just marinating for me. Because I'm on this proximity of the map, anytime that they make a misstep, anytime that they fight, anytime that they try and do anything, I'm just there instantly. And this is a really, really big part when I see coaching and when I coach players and when they ask me how do I translate leads, this is a huge part of it. You want to basically sculpt the game to however you want. So, if, for example, if I had like a 6-0 Fiora here, I would always be saying, okay, I'm going to sculpt the game to where I'm just playing on top side and I'm getting 6 grubs and that's my win condition. So of course the win condition can change, and this is where kind of some game experience comes in. And in these games, you want to reflect on them. If you'd played for the grubs this game and bot lane was fighting constantly, make that reflection and say, oh, I could have just used my lead to make bot not be able to breathe. And as you can see here, enemy team does not want any part of it. I think they made a pretty good play here to stop me from doing that. But essentially it cost them Aatrox TP. It cost them a Quinn move. As Jarvan, I'm pretty, slippery. I can get out of situations quite easily. And, now the game is very, very hard for the enemy because this just frees up the scaling even more. Now Vladimir is getting a free lane to scale and the game, and then, they make compensation. Echo feels like, okay, we need to do something. Otherwise this game is just slipping away from us. If you're the scaling team and it's 5 and 12, and you've got a dragon and you've got a demon Jarvan on the rift, it's pretty over for the enemy. And so after this round, I think, again, I'm playing into the proximity of the bot lane. Again, camera panning, what's going on the map. Anytime there's this proximity thing here, anytime there's something going on, I'm there and I'm kind of ready to react to it. I'm not overly forcing anything. There's a big difference here. I'm not overly forcing anything. I'm just in the right place at the right time. right? I'm not overly forcing anything in this game. And, you know, a bit unfortunate here, you know, the Quinn job encounter. So I thought, you know, maybe I could land a flag, realize I'm out of range, turn around, have some discipline, you know, hold back from it. And yeah, here I'm thinking about when I'm going to base. I don't want to base yet. Okay, another opportunity presents itself. Even though this is the kind of like the weak side lane, I'm still gonna be you know, seeing the opportunities there. And now instantly a base, and I have my mythic. Sorry, not my mythic. I have my completed item. Yes, going into the next round now. Now this is essentially, I think, where mid game begins, and pretty much the main two fundamentals that we're going to be looking at when it comes to mid game fundamentals and closing games out. And this is pretty much always having an objective in mind, which is, you know, Dragon, Rift Herald, or Towers, you know, always having something that you're playing towards. And usually this is through like your strong laners or your strong whoever it is in the game. And also knowing uptime, downtime, which is something that I've talked a lot about. And this basically solves 99% of players mid games and late games, knowing when to farm and trying to sync up your tempo with your team, and knowing when it's time to play with them and when it's time to clear your camps. So these are the main two things we're going to be talking about. Mid game usually starts around 14 minutes, which is right now. And you know, the objective that I'm playing for is Dragon. So my plan is to clear down into the Dragon. This is why I'm pathing from top to bot. So now the whole weak side, strong side camps it's not really a thing in the mid game. Usually you're just looking to be at the objective kind of as it spawns, preferably a bit before. So I want to clear my top side camps first. I don't want to run straight here and then just like AFK for a few seconds. I want to be able to clear these camps and do it efficiently for the Dragon spawn timer. So right here, I'm playing for Dragon. Always have something in mind. Will also solve your issues of just feeling lost in the mid game. And, you know, think about, you know, this game, of course, that it's pretty easy because we're all ahead. You know, another major thing is, again, match or trade in the mid game. So if the enemy team is just stronger than you in this situation, for, you know, what's the play for Echo here? Well, Echo should be trying to trade, right? He should be giving up Dragon, and he should be trying to take the Rift Herald and try and like Rift Herald top or something while we go for Dragon. So there's always a play. It doesn't matter if you're the winning team or the losing team. There's always a play a hypothetically correct play. In this case, some big explosion happens bot. So as you can see, as soon as I'm not in proximity to bot, it kind of hits the fan a little bit. So my team all dies there. So, you know, I kind of this is where you can also just do your own thing. You know, I can farm efficiently. Again, I'm still not over forcing anything. I'm not trying to, you know, compensate for anything. I'm just going to simply farm the mid wave here. If this Aatrox disrespects, you know, I'll style on him real quick. But I'm still just playing for that Dragon spawn, right? I'm still having that objective in mind. Quickly style on the Aatrox into the Dragon, which I believe I go to next. So I'm still always having that objective in mind. I'm also kind of just, you know, when your team all dies here, if I quickly go back, I'm kind of just waiting for people to get back on the map as well. So I'm just going to like clear this wave, and I'm going to like, if Aatrox didn't die, for example, if he didn't die, I'm just going to clear this wave, then I'm going to clear my wolves and my gromp, and then as everyone starts to spawn and come out, then I'm going to do the Dragon. So I'm kind of just waiting. This is a little bit of downtime, right? Downtime is essentially when you're waiting for your team to get back on the map fresh. Yep, we're still farming. This is technically still uptime, so I want to try and play with my team here. However, Lux looks like he's wanting to base. You know, there are some rules and some kind of, you know, uptime, downtime is basically a guide, but when you can't really take anything, right? So right now we can't actually take the mid tower. We can't actually take the bot tower. There's no camps to play for. This is where you can kind of start your downtime a little bit early because there's nothing for you to play for. You know, you don't want to really just sit here and hold the hand while they do this. But for example, if Raptors were up here, I should definitely go towards the Raptors because then I can be kind of in better proximity to my bot lane. But right here, there's nothing to do. So I'm just simply going to, I'm simply going to downtime. You know, your team's going to die, right? I can't hold their hand forever. I'm still going to play, even though I'm playing Jarvan, I'm still going to play like a carry this game. When my Kog'Maw dies, now it definitely is downtime. I should not try and compensate. I shouldn't go mid. I shouldn't try and do anything that's not needed. I'm going to stick to my game plan. And now I'm actually going to base because, okay, never mind. I was going to base, but then I see Aatrox trolling. Okay, I guess he's lost his mind. I guess I broke his mind on that last play mid. And so you know, you can think of this like, you know, I wanted to base here, right? I wanted to base here, but I kind of missed what I like to call the train, right? There's a train that when everyone dies or when everyone's running out of base here, if you miss this train, just stay on the map. I have 1600 gold. It's okay. I'm strong enough. Just stay on the map. It's better that you stay on the map here with your team Then if you base here and desync from everyone. So then if you base there and now I'm running out here, obviously it's not too bad. Yeah, this is also going towards some fundamentals, which is like, you know, you can greed when you're ahead. You know, you can maximize your farm when you're ahead. You can overstay even if you have 1,000 gold to simply farm instead of basing. So, you know, I'm playing uptime here. So this is a good example of it, right? My team is all pressuring something. Lux is pressuring the bot wave, mid is pressuring the mid wave, they have someone dead. So here it would be really, really bad for me to, for example, do Raptors. This would be terrible because I can pressure something with my team here. And, you know, uptime is all about playing. So for example, if they all gank Lux here, we're going to take something on the other side. If they all gank mid here, I'm either going to be in proximity to react and judge the fight based on, you know, what's happening, or I'm going to be able to get top tower or kill Quinn or something like that, right? So uptime is really important that you're in the right place at the right time. And of course, I'm just using my lead to do something on the map and make plays. And again, try and not let the enemy breathe. Unless, of course, your team is inting, then you can just farm your camps. Inting as in they're just dying. So we're still playing uptime here. You know, we don't really, I mean, you know, we could have gone to the Rift Herald there. But, you know, if there's opportunities on the map, of course, killing towers, you know, you don't really want to chase kill too much. So I think Rift Herald there would have been a good option instead of me going for Nami. But this is still, I'm still getting a lot here because I kill Nami and I get his bot side. So again, whenever you get a chance to, you should always farm the enemy camps over your camps, which is also very important. Always looking for enemy camps because your camps will always be there for you. Now, good example, right? This is about to be downtime. We can't take anything more, right? We can't take this tower. We can't take this tower. And they're all spawning, and now we definitely want to base. So this is a time where you really want to get your team. This is basically like round finish. This is where, in the most ideal world, your whole team bases and your whole team recalls and runs out of base here. Now, of course, that's not going to happen in solo queue. You just need to do your best to try and get them on that train. So here I'm just backpinging, right? I'm not compensating here. I'm not compensating to come here and do anything here. All I'm interested in is basing. Now, if my team bases here and no one dies and we run out, we're going to instantly play uptime. If my team dies here, this is your chance to farm your camps. So you're going to base here. If your team dies here, you're going to farm all your camps and then wait for them to come alive. So this is the idea of uptime, downtime. And as you can see, Kog'Maw died, right? So all I'm going to do here is minimize. I think this is where I definitely do not minimize. And this is also myself included. I get caught up into it. You know, I really just want to, well, I think there's two ways to look at it, right? You can see the play where I just clear here, right? This is the correct play. I'm just going to say it. This is the correct play. I should just clear my camps here. But when you get a little bit, you know, I also don't want to deter you from going for some plays that seem a little bit int, but they make you gain experience and gain, you know, you're able to push some limits is what I'm trying to say. You know, pushing limits is really, really important because then you understand how much your champion can actually do. So I'm like so fed here, right? I'm 3 items. I could probably just solo kill all the, I mean, I could 1v3 here without a problem. And so I'm just pushing limits. You know, maybe it is a little bit for fun. You know, we all like having fun. I'm not gonna lie about that. And, you know, I want to flex here, right? So, but yeah, in a normal game where I'm not 11-1, this is the time for downtime. Just to say that the fundamentals of it. But, you know, I want to smurf it in, and as you'll see, it gets a little bit, well, you'll see what happens. We'll watch for the entertainment of it. But this is a classic downtime time. And, you know, yeah, just this is what can happen when you don't play downtime. You can kind of get yourself into a sticky situation, which I end up, because I'm Jarvan and because I'm super fed, I end up living here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if I remember correctly. So we live it. You can break the enemy's mentals by this. You know, the game's definitely over now, for sure. And I think the rest of the game is more of the same. All right, I'm going to quickly just play through it. Again, having an objective in mind. When your team is like this, right? This is a good example of like, yeah, what happens if your team's on different tempos? Well, this is still down tempo. Until Kog'Maw gets to this and joins this fight, I should join the same time as Kog'Maw. So this is kind of like called sneaky camps. You can take 1 or 2 here and then join up here. And we're also planning around this dragon spawn. So the most important thing is that you're just on time, right? I don't have time to fully clear my jungle here. I only have time, for example, to just do red. So I do red, and then I'm going straight to the objective. So enemy loses their minds again. We're always in the right place at the right time. Generally speaking, forcing them out here. Again, playing uptime, playing in the jungle, right? I'm never going, after I kill this Twitch here, if I just quickly go back, I'm never going back to my camps. I'm never farming these camps. I'm always trying to play for this tower or this Baron or these camps. Always looking for that better play. Or like the most impactful play, that's what you should always be looking for. Now we really want to play for the Baron. So I'm kind of like, you know, thinking, okay, so we play downtime, right? I'm not basing, I'm trying to get an item spike. The one time that you can mess up your tempo, which is allowed, is when you need to farm for an item, but you just need to kind of communicate it to your team, right? So I'm messing up my tempo here, I think, for an item. No, I just stay. Okay. Yeah, because I don't have it yet. And I've got nothing else to buy. But that is a time where you can mess up your tempo. If you have a really, really big spike, just communicate it to your team. Say, ping, 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 I'm going to buy this item. Everyone, please don't fight. They probably will fight anyway. And the point of as well as this is like, yeah, you're going to have some games where your team just loses their mind and turns their monitors off and just like kind of ints it. But if you can consistently play like this in the mid game, and obviously in the early game as well, climbing and stuff like that in League, it's just a math game at the end of the day. It's about being consistent. You know, this is why players like Agurin on Jarvan, they full clear every game, and they just he's really good at gathering information. He's really good at his champion. He's really consistent. Yeah, he's really like toxic, for example, or he has like, you wouldn't expect him to have such a bad mental, but at the end of the day, that mental doesn't really matter anything. It's about being consistent and being good at your champion and having these consistent fundamentals. I think that's a really big way that he was able to get, you know, 2 accounts to 1K to 2K LP. So yeah, that's gonna basically wrap things up. I hope you guys were able to take something from this video. Let me know in the comments below any questions that you guys have, and I'll see you all in the next one.